What are some of the biggest issues that you believe are not discussed enough?
It's funny because online, almost everything is being discussed now, right? Like, I mean, that's the beauty of what's happening online. There are a million podcasts discussing almost everything. From a mainstream perspective, which is crumbling, I would say the main thing that they didn't discuss honestly was that there could be a type of person out there who was not a pure leftist that still was a good American. And they basically treated everybody that wasn't a Democrat or wasn't a lefty or didn't just pick the thing of the day that the lefties were into. They basically treated them like they were a Nazi or a horrible person or a garbage person, as Joe Biden said. And then I think what happened was you basically had a mainstream media that more and more people were waking up to the nonsense. You had an ascendant alt media. And that really was what this election was about. So I think it's hard to say what isn't being discussed because so much is being discussed now. But I would say the thing that I think has flourished to the top right now that desperately needed to be pushed to the top is free speech. I don't think people had any freaking clue how bad the free speech situation was. And then I think COVID started waking some people up, when you suddenly started getting a couple doctors that were like, all right, maybe this thing was from the
Also,
Wuhan
shadow banning on YouTube
I think the shadow
was
banning,
a bit of a thing in terms of like saying vaccine or COVID and stuff like that.
So I think it's ironic actually because they basically, the media was so terrible, they created this alt ecosystem online. And then COVID comes in, and then COVID basically put like rocket fuel on the alt thing because then there were just online people like me. And I'm obviously not the only one, but then I started talking to, say, Jay Bhattacharya, who might be the head of NIH now, who is a Stanford physician who was very skeptical of everything that was going on. So then more and more of us started talking about it. The government started censoring us more and more, and then it started feeding itself. I had a tweet in, I think it was July of 21, that it was right after Biden said that if you get the vaccine, you will not get nor transmit COVID. And I said, not only was that not true, but I said the boosters don't work and they are prepping us for mandates. By the fall, mandates were coming. Anyway, my tweet got taken down, and then Jim Jordan, congressman from Ohio, said that I was one of the people that they know when they went in and looked at what happened with Twitter and the government, they know that the government had Twitter take down that tweet. So, and you get nothing, by the way. The government fully can step on your First Amendment free speech rights and you get nothing. You don't get a letter. You don't get an apology. I was at the Capitol with him. I was like, is there anyone here that I could go to? And they might say, sorry. He's like, no, there's literally nothing. You can't sue them. There's nothing you can do.
So you accurately predicted consequences of, COVID. Yeah. And then some government official agency, who knows, was putting pressure on Twitter for you to delete that tweet.
Not for me to delete. They deleted the tweet.
For Twitter to then remove
which they did.
Tweet.
Yeah.
And
then the beauty of that actually is that, so that happened. It got deleted maybe 2 hours after I put it up, something like that. I said, the vax is not working as promised. You guys can probably find the tweet. The vax is not working as promised and mandates are coming. And it was taken down. What I did was, fortunately, because I have an audience, first off, I called a couple of the higher profile people that I know. And I was like, guys, can you screenshot? I have a screenshot of it. Can you get this out there? And fortunately, to whatever extent Twitter was still free at the time, enough people started doing that. I had also started my own tech company called Locals, where we were able to allow people to speak freely. So I was able to get people to follow me there, and I could still communicate with people and I could still directly chat with people and everything else. So there's always a better mousetrap. I mean, that more than anything else, I think that's my attitude about the world right now. As long as we are free, to whatever degree we are free, the human ingenuity will always solve all of the problems. So the fact that the government could go in and do that and that nobody is fired for any of that is a scary proposition. The fact that they fully violated my First Amendment rights, you would think that there would be some repercussion. There simply isn't. But look where we are now. Things are in a much better position.
And that's pretty unbelievable, actually, that you said something that happened and the government removed it from Twitter.
But now what if at the time they genuinely thought that what they were saying was correct?
Doesn't matter.
That your information could be detrimental.
Doesn't matter. I mean, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. It just doesn't matter. First off, you have every right to be wrong about things. I mean, that's part of having a human mind. That's part of the human experience. I was also, it was at that time, if you remember, I think it was in June of 2021, where Biden said that thing on stage. You will, if you get the vax, you will not get nor transmit COVID. I knew at that point, we already knew that wasn't true. There were enough people paying attention to what was going on online that we knew it wasn't true because there were people getting the vax and still getting COVID. We 100% knew that. So it was just another one of, everyone has their own little sort of red pill journey. You asked me a little bit before about waking up to things. I think everybody over the last couple of years has just seen a series of things. Why is it that in 2019, I was tweeting about Biden having dementia? I'm not his doctor. I'm not a doctor, but I was just watching this man who couldn't complete a sentence, who was slurring and confused and everything else. And now it's fairly obvious that he either has dementia or Lewy body dementia or Parkinson's or something like that. But the point is, we weren't even allowed to talk about that for about 5 years until the debate. And then the debate was so terrible. And then suddenly that night, the mainstream media couldn't hold the narrative anymore. And then everybody started talking about it. And then 2 weeks later, he's not even the nominee anymore. So there's a weird control system that has been put in place. It's sort of matrixy, I would say. It's a control system partly through the government, partly through big tech. And I think we're seeing that kind of wash away right now mostly because of Elon.